If you test pricing too much, it can erode trust.
Yes.
There's an English large supermarket where a colleague of mine who worked with them for about 10 years said the great problem was that the variation in pricing from one week to the next was so great that actually the perception of low price was completely destroyed and actually overridden by a perception of just random price, which people saw then as basically unethical profiteering.
Almost Machiavellian.
Because if you can sell it for £1.69, why are you suddenly charging £2.49?
How interesting.
And so on. So there are caveats here. In that what is optimal in the short term may not be optimal in the longer term. So we've got to just be careful of that. But the opportunity to test layout and the way in which you actually frame different items. There's probably also a huge part of value which is you're left feeling you've got good value for money if you are comfortable with the process of choosing. So that if you actually walk through and you go, yes, at every stage I feel that the choice was clear, therefore I've made 3 or 4 pretty unambiguous choices, and therefore I've arrived at that thing which I like. Now, it's one of the interesting questions with airlines, which is people like the fact that actually you can add things and remove things. And the fact that they feel that they're paying for the things they want and not for the things they don't makes them feel they've got better value for money regardless of the actual overall price they pay. Because paying for something that you actually removing from your basket something that you don't want is itself, a feeling of value creation.
And because I'm a smart shopper, and it creates this sort of a post hoc rationalization of I did my diligence in this process, and so a few days later I might not remember what the trade-offs were. But what I do remember is that I was very engaged in that process. I took my time. I was very careful. I, unchecked some options. I surrendered some options. So I feel very good that I'm a smart shopper, even if you don't actually remember the things that you sacrificed. And then you go further in that and wanting to further reinforce your perception as a smart shopper.
Sort of shopping in the active voice in a way, because I think whenever we feel that we're passive or we could become a victim of skillful marketing, we do feel uncomfortable. It makes us nervous in making those choices, and therefore, in some sense, for the supplier or for the retailer or for the restaurant to give us a sense that we're in control and we're making sensible choices, and to keep providing evidence that these are sensible choices is itself very satisfying.
Just one little thing to add, just as an aside, which is if you buy clothing from an expensive shop, you expect the bag to have rope handles. There's no particular reason, okay? And it is simply a question of just unconscious inference that this is a bag which is commensurate with what I paid. We mentioned the fact that actually the enjoyment of wine is massively affected by the weight of the bottle, the price, the label, etc. It's also worth remembering in fast food that actually there's effectively a heuristic, which is that a posh burger comes in a cardboard box, whereas a cheaper burger comes wrapped in paper. Now, I think Martin at KFC in the UK said that one of their slightly posher KFC burgers, in an effort to reduce their environmental footprint, was downgraded from a box to a wrapper. Now, it's one of those things which you can't... There are certain things which are just are. Now, for example, if you're a posh restaurant, except in Japan, you can't show photographs of your food, okay? I don't know why that is, but you're expected just to describe it. Now, it would be, in many ways, it would be actually ideal if you could. But it's just, there are certain things which are treated as this is the behaviour of this kind of restaurant, and they all do it, and we just unconsciously link one thing with another. So it is worth looking at certain little cues like that. What are the cues that effectively say, this whole experience now, I have paid slightly more for something, but the whole experience now feels completely commensurate with my decision.
An example that very powerfully illustrates that is the work that Brian Wensink did out of Cornell University. Professor of marketing took KFC food and put it on very fine china. Took no additives, nothing else, just took the food and actually prepared it slightly differently. Took the corn on the cob, mixed up, took the corn off the cob, set it out on a platter, moved the other ingredients around, fine china, served it, on a tray, and asked people what they thought about the meal. And they described it, this is like home cooking, reminds me of my grandmother's recipe.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. Then they brought out a KFC meal in standard packaging. It's it's greasy fast food. It's not a very delicious experience. If you're in a rush, I guess this is it's fine. It's passable, but not very good. And then when they told people that they were actually both meals were KFC, they were either shocked or, well, you must have done something to it. They hadn't done anything. It was sheer that presentation. So what better testament to the effect and power of presentation? And right now, so much of what we're conveying is discount, cheap, fast, when aesthetics, design thinking, some of these things are so easy to ascribe convey quality, convey flavor, convey the efforts of the chefs back at KFC headquarters who are trying to optimize the spice so that everybody loves it.